Okay. So what you're saying is that serviced accommodation is basically it's determined by where you advertise.
To a degree, and also the asset class as well. So I'll give you an example. So I was, if you're looking at some properties, and actually Uwa is on the call. We were discussing this earlier in the week. If an asset class is commercial, so it might be a C1 hotel, B&B, then lenders will view that more and in terms of it being a business. Because if you were to get commercial lending on a hotel, for example, it's actually quite hard to get funding on a brand new hotel, because the value in a hotel is how well it's run as a business. So if you look at it from the same perspective as say, for example, you've got a block. I know there's a massive one in central Birmingham, a huge serviced accommodation block. A lender would look at what the overall income was going to be on that block, but it's kind of a bit chicken and egg. You can't necessarily predict that kind of income, unfortunately. So a lot of these lenders, when you're looking at those types of operations, will require 1 to 2 years worth of sort of trading accounts to see that kind of income, and then they'll use that to determine a value and ultimately how much they're willing to lend. When you're looking at that as a brand new investor, typically what lenders will actually do is they will just value what the culmination of all of those individual apartments would actually be on a bricks and mortar basis, which unfortunately for a lot of people that's not going to be enough to get the lending they want. So it's a bit of a tricky thing. Look, serviced accommodation is still relatively new. The reason why I've kind of split that up now is because holiday lets actually are more traditional. They have a more mature market, and obviously as I've shown there, it's more sort of clear cut in terms of actually how they're valued and how we get our rental income to use on a rental calculator with that. So it's it's tricky. Certainly serviced accommodation is the trickier of the two.
Tell me again what the holiday let, because it's a really fine line.
Yeah.
So what's the holiday let?
Yeah, so I'll give you an example. So I was talking to, I think I mentioned Interbay in there, who are a lender that have brought out. They really actually kind of led this new product push for holiday let. In fact, I think I get an email from them about 3 times a day about holiday lets, which fills my inbox up. But I spoke to them recently because I had a client who had a few properties down. Actually, I don't think it was too far away from Broadstairs, where you are, Chris. That sort of part of the world. But because it was kind of run more as a business, they weren't interested. They wanted the real sort of old school traditional holiday properties. And they needed to be in areas that were deemed to be holiday destinations.
Right. Okay.
And although this was quite close to Broadstairs, which you might see as a holiday destination, it wasn't quite in that bubble. So that's a differentiating factor as well.
So what? Go on. I was just going to say. So when we've looked at mortgages, we've had 3 different sets of criteria that we've had to try to sort of achieve. So one of them is our existing business. Mm-hmm. So can we prove that this 2-bedroom property in this area can produce income? And I can show reports. Yeah, I can show you what we got last year, what we got the year before. So we can do all of that. Then they quite often will ask. The one that I found really difficult was when they wanted us to get a letter from a letting agent telling the mortgage company the prospective income on high, low and average nightly rates. Well, letting agents don't know serviced accommodation. They know letting. And they don't let on a nightly basis. They let on a monthly basis, with a minimum of 6 months. So I was having this conversation constantly with my broker saying, it's like chalk and cheese. You can't do it. Then we had the third one where they said, no, there was 4 actually. So the third one was based on our income. Well, okay, that's another one. That's a standard one. And then the fourth one was what income could we get on an AST, which I think is the most logical one. So if it was repossessed, then what income could we achieve on an AST? And I know that with serviced accommodation, we can get 3 times that amount and average it out over the year, because sometimes you get 4 or 5 times, depending on where you're located and events in the area, because we use this pricing engine. So it averages out, I would say, on average, 3 times the amount you'd get on an AST. So I always think, well, just a no-brainer. But so I find it really difficult to actually differentiate between holiday let and serviced accommodation. Plus, some of these companies that consider themselves holiday let companies, they won't allow you to advertise with anyone else. So one of the biggest things for us is that we can advertise on various platforms. And they won't let you use the property yourself as well. And I think they're too really restrictive. If that's what a holiday let is, I'm not interested anyway.
Yeah. Do you know what? I've going slightly off topic. I've thought for quite some time now, if I was the owner of Booking.com or Airbnb, I'd be getting in touch with lenders that lend on this basis, and I'd go, right, guys, you want to lend on properties that we advertise. We're going to set up a specialist surveyor that you can use, that we will value based on the data. Because think about the data that Booking.com or Airbnb have got. They've got better data than anyone in the country, or to even allow access to that for a certain number of surveyors. I think would revolutionise things.
What I would say is that, you what you said was sort of service comment. These are my very brief notes. SA is sort of city, it's for work, based on AST income, like an asset class. Holiday lets are more location based. You're using people like Sykes to get an example of income. Now, so if I used Ramsgate as an example, right, we've got 2 2-bed apartments there. One week they could have families in because it's a holiday resort. The next week it could be workers because there's a big wind farm and there's they're doing contractors for builders and all the rest of it. I don't think it's easy to do that. And I'd also say that, I know you talked about holiday locations. I mean, people go for holidays in all sorts of locations. I mean, they even go to Cornwall, Sam. So do you know what I mean? I think it's very difficult to say. I don't know, if I just pick anywhere, Lincoln, for example. It could easily be a holiday location. So I think
it is a bit of a minefield. It actually took me quite a long time when I was putting that slide together to really kind of think about this difference in criteria. I think for me personally, I actually think that some of these lenders, and I've been open and honest with them, the Interbays of this world, I think they've actually sort of missed the point of when they're releasing these holiday let mortgages, and they are very traditional. Back in the day, it was Leeds Building Society, that they kind of started this trend of having this very particular holiday let proposition. The new sort of wave of lenders, I think they've actually kind of missed the point of this insofar as the traditional old school holiday let is not what it once was. The method of valuing is not going to be as simple as it once was. And actually, they're trying to cater to a slightly more mass market now. They're actually looking at real proper investors. Back in the day, it would be Uncle Tim who's got that, whatever down in Devon. And he rents it out to some families every now and again. Oh, what kind of mortgage does he need? I'll go to Leeds Building Society. They'll sort you out. Now it's people running businesses. It's very, very, very different. And they've completely missed the whole point of this. And I had a very long conversation with my contacts over at Interbay. And actually, I'm trying to so Interbay are part of the One Savings Bank group. So Kent Reliance are in there as well. And Adrian Maloney, who runs their entire I think he's even a part owner in the entire business now, but he's kind of the overall director of everything. I'm trying to get him to come on the podcast. And one of the things I want to talk to him about is how Interbay have completely missed the point of what they're trying to do. Because when I was saying earlier about this particular client, I was trying to fit them potentially with Interbay, and they were basically telling me, no, you're trying to fit a square peg into a circular hole here. And I'm thinking, no, you just haven't carved out the right shaped hole, pal. And that's what it was. That's the problem we've got at the moment.
Well, if they want to talk to somebody who's on the cold face, then either myself or Lisa would be happy to help.
I'm sure they would love it and hate it in equal measure.
But the offer's there. I'll just note that